This is the 5 a.m. Miracle, episode number 439. 12 spectacular benefits of early morning cardio workouts. Good morning and welcome to the 5 a.m. Miracle. I am Jeff Sanders and this is the podcast dedicated to dominating your day before breakfast. My goal is to help you bounce out of bed with enthusiasm, create powerful, lifelong habits, and tackle your grandest goals with extraordinary energy. In the episode this week, I'll break down why I first began to wake up at 5 a.m. over a decade ago, why trail running is still my favorite sport, and why those two combine to become the best possible morning routine ever. Let's get to it. Does running before breakfast sound like torture? It might. For a lot of people, it does. Now, I promise you, the exact opposite is actually true. I know that it sounds early because it is, and it sounds challenging because it can be. But running the trails at 5 a.m. is where I fell in love with early mornings, and it's why I continue that practice even today. Now, I don't have a way to logically or even emotionally appeal to you that this is worth trying, that waking up at 5 a.m. and going for a run when it's still dark or cold or raining or just not what you want to do at that hour of the day. I'm not going to convince you that this is your thing. I am simply telling you, this is a fact. It changed my life forever to do this. Right? Are you convinced yet? I doubt it, but let me give it a shot this week in the episode. Let me see if I can provide some sense of an argument for why this is a good thing. Now, if you're already on board with early mornings, but not yet exercise at that hour, or you already work out, but you don't like early mornings, trying to combine these two will be fairly straightforward. If you're not on board with either of these things, if working out or waking up early, both of them just sound like torture, this is going to be a little bit more challenging, but honestly, that's where the biggest opportunity lies. Because, and I'll go back to my story for just a bit, before I began my 5 a.m. wake-up calls, and before I began running marathons and training for marathons at 5 a.m., I was not a marathon runner or an early riser. Before I was those things, I was not those things. And then I became those things. Those habits became part of who I am today. But before that was true, it wasn't. And so if you're the kind of person in that position where these things are not true for you, but you would like them to be, or they used to be true for you, but they have not been for a long time, which has been my story for a while now, well, then bringing back old habits is actually significantly easier. So wherever you are on this spectrum, whether it sounds great or it sounds terrible, whether it sounds easy or difficult, it doesn't really matter. Blank slate today. You get a chance to try again tomorrow morning and each and every morning after this to redefine yourself, redefine your future, redefine who you are and who you can be. And in the last few weeks, I have been recommitting in a very big way to not only early mornings, but specifically running the trails here in Nashville to make that solidified habit not only part of who I am going forward, but to reconnect with the best parts of me. And I believe that's possible for you too, because I believe the best parts of you may actually exist at 5 a.m. in the dark, in the woods. That's all possible. It can bring out the best in you, and I think that it will. So let me lay out the argument here. We have 12 spectacular benefits that I'm going to go through of early morning cardio workouts. Now, before we get to these amazing benefits, I do want to clarify that you do not have to do what I do. So I love to run the trails. I love running by itself, but I specifically love to run in the woods, on trails, and definitely here on the amazing trails in Nashville, Tennessee. But that's a very specific workout that honestly very few people do. And I know that because at 5 a.m. on the trails here in Nashville, I'm usually alone. Or it's just one or two other people. So I know that I'm kind of on my own little island here. However, if you choose to run, or you choose to cycle, or you choose to swim, or you choose to do yoga, or walk vigorously, or whatever the thing is that you love to do that gets your heart pumping, do that thing. Right? The goal of this is not trail running, even though I personally prefer that. The goal is to get your heart rate increased, especially first thing in the day. So you don't need the same workouts that I do. You don't need the same reasons that I do for doing these things. All these things are flexible, except for the fact that what we're really shooting for here is an early morning heart rate increase. That's it. That's the thing. And when you do that thing, you get these benefits. So just pick your favorite workout, pick your best early morning time of the day that works for your schedule, and figure out on the calendar how this is possible. Not making the excuse or just saying right away it's not possible. I've heard those before. Even myself, I tell myself those things of why I can't do things. The question for this week is, how can I? What would make this possible? Because these benefits, they're fantastic. Or actually, they're spectacular. Let's get to that now. So here is spectacular benefit number 1. And this is not going to surprise anyone who's heard this podcast before or anyone who heard the intro of the podcast this week. Benefit number 1 is to bounce out of bed with enthusiasm. Now, where do you think that phrase came from? That's been a catchphrase of mine on this podcast since episode number 1, way back almost 9 years ago. Now, why have I made that phrase so pivotal to this podcast? Why have I said it so many times on the show? Because that's how I feel. That's how I have felt in the past. It's how I felt this morning at 5 a.m. Bouncing out of bed with enthusiasm is a thing. It is possible. And especially, this is the key to this entire system, if this is habitual. In order for you to get to the point where waking up that early is a good thing for you and feels that good or could feel that good, a few things have to be true. The first of which is that this has to be something you've been doing for a while. It's not going to be a thing where tomorrow morning you feel fantastic and the next day and the next if it's new to you. Once it's old hat, yes, this is possible. Meaning, like any good habits, it takes a few weeks to really solidify. Once you've gone to bed early, you've gotten plenty of great sleep, you are waking up early, and, this is the key, your first activity is to vigorously move your body and get your heart rate up. That's what's going to allow this bouncing out of bed thing to be possible. Because when I say that, what I'm really talking about is physically the muscles in my body are twitching, like they are like itching to move. My body wants to get up and go. So whether my brain or my mentality or my attitude is there yet, it will catch up to my body very quickly once I start moving. So if you think, well, Jeff, I don't feel the same way like you do. Well, neither do I, in theory. What's going on is that my muscles are telling me, Jeff, it's 5 a.m., let's do this again. Let's get up and go run again. Let's go move again. Because our bodies are habitual. They want this rhythm and routine. And if you feed it this good movement, then your body's going to want to continue to move. So go to bed early, get plenty of great sleep, set the alarm. When it goes off, boom, you're up. And that's the miracle of 5 a.m. That's where this comes from, and that's what this is all about. And when you bounce out of bed like this, when the enthusiasm is there, you have an improved mood, not just during the run, but all day long as well. The key to all of this that I love the absolute most, and I'm going to harp on this a lot, is that when you do an early morning, let's call it a run, or an early morning workout, you get the enthusiasm all day. You get the benefits of that workout all day long. So if you're struggling with your mood, if you're struggling with feeling enthusiastic or happy or upbeat, try this. Just give it a shot. It is amazing what it will do for you. There are so many mechanisms in the body that are working to your advantage when you give your body the chance to move like this. So give it a shot. Believe me, it's going to feel good. Benefit number 2 is you get to reduce your stress. This is a big one. If you're a high achiever, if you've got a lot on your plate, if you feel like the world is on your shoulders, you are responsible for a lot of things, there's a lot going on. You may be asking, well, why would I want to add an additional difficult habit to my lifestyle? Who wants to wake up at 5 a.m. and go for a run? Well, my life is already busy, Jeff. Like, this sounds like a lot. Well, here's the thing. It will reduce your stress. That I can almost guarantee. And I'll give you a good counterexample to what I've been trying for the last couple of years. I've been going to the gym after I take my daughter from her daycare. We go to the gym together. We lift weights after school and after my workday is done. which is wonderful. It's great to lift weights. I use the sauna. I stretch. It's a nice time for me. However, if all I do in the day for exercise is lift weights, I don't get the same sense of stress reduction that I do from an early morning run. The early morning run is more powerful, exponentially more powerful to reduce stress. Like, I can't even begin to explain how much better it is. Now, this is how I've experienced it, and you may not get the same benefits, but I feel emotionally so much better when I run first thing in the day versus when I lift weights. It's an incredible thing, and it absolutely works. So if you have not experienced that sense of a stress reduction, of feeling more holistically healthy and positive and ready to tackle your day, give this a shot, because the stress can really bring you down. And if you have a counter to that, if you can really directly address it and get past it or wiggle around it, or however it is you want to tackle the stress, if you do the early morning workout, you're giving yourself a fantastic opportunity to just feel a lot better. Benefit number 3, and this is probably the most important thing for most people, it's guaranteed time to work out. Like, how often do you have guaranteed time for anything? How often in your life can you say, I can definitely do that 100%, it's on the calendar, it will happen? It's tough. For most people, most days, that's a difficult thing to really commit to. But if you can say, well, wait, at 5 a.m., nothing's going on. There are no distractions at 5 a.m., no one's awake at that hour. I can wake up, I can go for a run, and I can get the benefits. It works just like that. So if you've been struggling with trying to figure out, well, how do I make time for exercise? How do I guarantee that I can get the benefits of working out at all? Well, then choose the early morning hour. And of course, when you do so, choose the right activity to give you the best fighting chance to feel fantastic, to get the day started on the right foot. Benefit number 4 is a little similar to the last one, except they're going to go one step further. So if you have guaranteed time to exercise, that's great, but you have to actually show up. And this is the cool part about early morning workouts. Once you're in the habit of doing it, you actually can maintain this long term. So it's one thing to say there's guaranteed time on the calendar. It's another to say that when that time shows up, you show up and actually do the work you had planned to do, and this entire system is maintainable long term. So if you bake some time into your calendar at 5 a.m. to go for a run, and then you do that again the next day, and the next, and the next, and you build that habit up, the odds of you maintaining this habit long term is significantly better than if that workout were another time of the day. Because when the workout is the first activity of the day, it will almost always stay that first activity. It will almost always continue to be the thing you do first thing in the day. As opposed to, the opposite point here is, let's imagine your goal is to work out after work. Well, the number of distractions after work that could pop up are extraordinary. Like, most people are not going to call you or text you or try to get a hold of you first thing in the morning at sunrise. But they might at 5 p.m. after work. So the goal here is to make sure that not only the time's on the calendar, but that the entire system is built around the habit of doing this consistently, day after day, week after week, over and over and over, because that's just who you are now. And it's what you do, it's what you love. Benefit number 5 is one you can probably hear in my voice right now. Foundational energy. When you work out first thing in the day, this is a thing I notice every single time, is not only do I feel better during the workout emotionally, but I feel, of course, more pumped up, more energetic because my heart has been going up, my energy is going up, things are improving, things are increasing. But the fun part is that energy stays around for a long time. Now, no, you're not going to be at a 10, on a scale of 1 to 10, you're not going to feel fantastic all day, every day. This is not a pipe dream or a magic pill. But there is a definite increase in foundational energy as the day progresses. You'll stay more alert. You'll stay more prepared to do things that are difficult. There's an incredible just energy that comes with the early morning workout that stays with you. And this is such a cool thing because over time, it gets better. The more that you run, the more you commit to this lifestyle, the more energy you have more often, which is a really fun thing to have. Benefit number 6 is that if the first choice of the day is healthy, this will naturally lead to more healthy choices in other areas of your life all day long. So let's imagine that you want to go on a diet, which most people do. You want to lose some weight, you want to look better in the mirror, have your clothes fit better, all these wonderful things. Well, if the first choice of your day is to move your body and be physically fit, that's going to start your day with a healthy choice. Because the first habit you did was good for you that you chose on purpose. That's going to lead to a cascade of more healthy choices. Here's an example from my own life. When I work out first thing in the day, the next thing I want to do when I get back from that workout is to eat a healthy breakfast. I'm not craving fatty foods or greasy foods or things that might really bring me down. I'm craving high energy foods to keep that momentum going. I want a smoothie. I want fruit. I want healthy, fresh water. I want things that will make me feel more authentically healthy and great. That's what can happen for you, not just during the workout or even right after, but for the rest of the day. When those first habits are solidified and they're good habits, you just make better choices by default. And if your goal is to lose weight or your goal is to improve yourself in other ways with your health, this foundational habit can be the foundational habit to then do the others. Now, along with that, benefit number 7 is more movement in general throughout the day. So I have definitely noticed this one. When I go for an early morning workout, especially a run, I will be more apt to then want to move my body all day long. I am more willing to get up and go do things, whether it's household chores or lifting things or just doing anything with my body. And I'm less likely to want to be on the couch. I'm less likely to be lazy. I'm less likely to not try things. And I'm more likely to try things and to engage in my life. More movement is a good thing. And so if you begin the day with movement, you will naturally want to continue that throughout the day. Benefit number 8 is more confidence and self-discipline. I have personally experienced this quite a bit. What tends to happen is that people who work out a lot will want to look better in the mirror. They will naturally feel better, have better posture. It comes with the territory of caring for yourself. And when you care for yourself more, you have more confidence about who you are and what you can bring to the table, what you bring to the world around you. And so if you're lacking in self-confidence, if you're lacking in self-discipline, well, give yourself a fighting chance first thing in the day by making that foundational habit an early morning workout that then builds your confidence and moves you forward in that direct path towards more confidence. Benefit number 9 is one that you're going to love if you love productivity, which is that you get improved focus, attention, and decision making. Now, I read a few articles online that made a pretty strong argument that these things are true. There are studies out there that have looked at this. I'm not really as interested in the studies. I'm more interested in how I personally have experienced exercise and the benefits of that. And one thing I can say for me personally is that when I run, it clears the fog from my mind. I think in a more sharp manner. I am more attentive. I'm more willing to engage once again and do things I care about. Yes, my mental focus is better. And so if you're looking for that, if you're trying to cut that clutter, if you're trying to figure out, well, how do I bring my best self to my work? How do I bring my best self to my life? Well, try an early morning workout and see how it works for you. Because I know for me, there are mental benefits. There's this greater sense of clarity that comes from the workout. It really does work that way. Benefit number 10 is a great fit for this podcast, which is that waking up early to go for a run can regulate your sleep patterns and actually improve your sleep. So one of the things that I have said for years on this show is that if you want to wake up at 5 a.m., there are 2 things to do. Go to bed early and move your body first thing in the morning. When those 2 things are true, you have great sleep because you went to bed early enough, got plenty of great sleep, and then you moved your body first thing, you will have better sleep. It just works in such a magical way. Now, yes, there are other things that affect sleep, like your hormones and your caffeine levels and your stress, but all those things can also be impacted by this early morning workout. So if your goal is to improve your sleep, you might want to start with the first thing you do in the day and see how that impacts the end of the day and overnight. They're all connected, and it all works in a really magical flow. Now, benefit number 11 is a little more seasonal. So here in Nashville, where I live, it gets pretty hot in the summers. And the idea of me going for a run in the middle of the summer, in the middle of the day, it's difficult. It is the hardest thing. In fact, of all the things I love to do the most, running in the middle of the heat is by far the thing I hate the most. So my personal goal is to avoid the summer heat in the best way that I can. And so if I'm going to go for a run in the summer, it will be first thing in the morning at sunrise when it's still dark and as cold as possible. Now in the winter, it's a little bit different because it can be cool all day long. So I could go for a run throughout the day. But if you live in a warm climate and you're trying to avoid that intense summer heat, then shoot for early mornings. You can avoid the hottest parts of the day, and it will allow you to run further and have more energy throughout the workout. Cold weather works to your advantage for running. And so if you're trying to figure out, well, how do I engage in running as a new habit? How do I make that part of my lifestyle? Well, shoot for the cold weather. If it's already winter, then run now. If it's already chilly outside, then run now. If it's super hot, then wait. Come back later when it's a little bit cooler, and it will feel a lot better. And finally, benefit number 12 is the possibility, I'm not going to guarantee this, the possibility of weight loss. Now, once again, I'm not a medical professional, so I'm not going to argue weight loss in this podcast. What I am going to argue, though, is that when you care for your body, when you wake up early, when you go for a run, when you are engaged in your health, what I've experienced is reduced cravings. I've experienced what I'll call weight management, so I don't necessarily gain any weight in the process. And I'm able to be more intentional with the foods that I eat, the times that I sleep, my levels of stress. My overall self-awareness will increase. My desire to learn more about my body and about fitness and about diets and nutrition, all of that improves. So if your goal is weight loss, which is very common, do your homework. Right? Learn more about this, but learn while doing. Get out there and experience these early mornings. Get out there and do the work and eat the healthy foods and read and learn and engage in the process. When you do that, you have the best fighting chance to be the best you that you're trying to be. You know, from my perspective, cardio fitness is the best catalyst to healthier food choices, to healthier life choices all day, every day. So if you can begin your day first thing with a cardio workout, do it. Why not? Like, it gives you a fighting chance. It gives you the energy. It gives you the enthusiasm. It gives you all these things I just discussed. It is worth it. It is awesome. I hope I made the argument clear. I hope I gave you enough of my own personal take on this. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. You can go ahead and email me, jeff@jeffsanders.com. I answer all my emails every single day. And honestly, this is something that has been part of my life for a long time. In fact, there is a video on the show notes page this week showing me running trails 9 years ago, just before the launch of this podcast. And the funny thing to me is I just watched this video recently, and it's so similar to where I am today. 9 years have gone by, and I don't feel like a minute has gone by because it's the same. My same level of enthusiasm is there. My same passion for the trails are there. The early morning power is still there. The miracle is still there. And for the action step this week, go find a local park and go for a hike. That's it. No running, no need to push yourself. Just find a park and go for a hike. And if you can, do this at sunrise. Yes, it's early. Yes, it could be challenging. It could be difficult. Just do it. It is life-changing. I tried really hard this week to make that argument clear. If you're not convinced at this point, you're probably not going to be. But please, just try it. It really is great. JeffSanders.com/439 is the place to go for the episode notes. And also, subscribe to this podcast. jeffsanders.com/subscribe will show you a few apps to choose from, or the app you're using right now. That's all I've got for you here on the 5 a.m. Miracle Podcast this week. Until next time, you have the power to change your life, and the fun begins bright and early.